Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I'm going to share with you a clip from a recent live event where myself and Jim Morgan are going to talk about how he is selling all of his card assets in order to buy more SPS. And it's exciting news, but it also means that a major card holder is liquidating. So that sparked conversation from the live audience about how if content creators start doing this, it'll cause the economy to fall apart. And I think that was such a healthy criticism because it sparks an immediate feedback from me and Jim explaining why it's not actually a liquidation. It's going deeper in. It's just a reallocation. But then also, what is the reason why SPS is so desirable and justifications around that? But then even, what about cards? And won't it be great to hold those too? And yes, it will. So this is really this is a bullish move, not a bearish one, and an amazing fun conversation where there's definitely difference of opinions on both sides here. Thank you to Elistios and to Robert for giving feedback into that as well. I saw Oscu and I saw Ivan. You guys are dropping comments that were helping make this our conversation what it was. So I hope you'll stick around for this one, guys, especially if you're new to Splinterlands. You're gonna hear here two things. One, you can earn actual value for your time and attention, and that it is sellable. But then more than that, there's tons of reason for optimism in the future within Splinterlands and this blockchain-based video game revolution. Thanks, guys. Have an amazing day. God bless.
I think it might be time to inform everyone
About the about what you're doing tonight, or the news.
about what I'm doing Wednesday night.
Okay, yeah. The Wednesday. You got some big news you want to share with the people?
Yeah. I think it's time. So, guys, I called Dwayne the other day, and it was a very important phone call. I let him know that I was retiring from Splinterlands TV. Just the live streaming part. And that's Friday specifically, and Wednesday night is going to be my final stream there. So it's been a great time, and yeah.
Jim, end of an era, buddy.
End of an era. Yeah, I've been there for over a year, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a year and 2 months, something like that. And Jenna's saying no.
Yeah.
And I'm still gonna be in Splinterlands. I think I'm gonna take a more passive route, and I guess I'll just let them know I'm planning on selling out.
These are so clickbaity phrases. Jim is selling out.
Selling out all my assets for SPS, so that way I can, give more to the people in the game when I delegate to them and earn more passive rewards. So,
I love how like the space you intentionally left in every sentence, where it's like, just leave that little hanging.
It's like I've done this before. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's been a great time. I hope everyone has a great Splinterlands journey, and yeah, I'm excited for what the future holds for me. I'm gonna be doing some other stuff in life, and I'm excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Ivan says Rondon pension plan.
Rondon pension plan.
And Elistios was, I like this suggestion. Jim, big news is that he bought more gold foil Rooney to merge them together. Can you imagine, like, burning gold foil Rooney to like consolidate? This one's got a prettier like weapon or something.
Doesn't make sense.
No.
All right. Unless we're talking about for the because you're able to merge them together for the land. So yeah, it would make sense.
Do they have? They must. I guess they have more power at that point, like more influence or more something.
Yeah, bigger PP.
Yeah, bigger, much bigger.
Yeah. So if you merge two gold foils together, it's 20,000. But if you merge a gold foil and a regular foil, you're looking at 11,000.
Oh, look at this. Selling all the cards again. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing it again, guys.
But you've just been growing and growing that SPS bag. Like this is like, and Eli goes, thus the SPS whale Jimbo was born. But I would already say you're a whale. I know Steve's got, well, last I checked, I know Steve told me he had over 400 when Ruz came out. And you've got more than I do. And I mean, you just talked about how what you're thinking, like, where is like a reasonable, like in the near future, if this truly does happen, if you make this move, like where do you think that's going to put you? Have you done that math?
Yeah, I'll be over $500,000.
Oh, wow, what a big number.
Yeah. I'll be over the $500,000 mark. And I would love to get to 1 million. That would be great. But part of me wants to take out a little bit of money every now and again and just put it into something else, because I'm pretty deep into this game. I got a lot of eggs in this basket. And I've talked in the past about diversifying your portfolio in this game of cards, SPS, packs, whatever else you can throw in here. And I guess I really haven't been listening to my own advice, because it's not just this game that you should be thinking about, it's other stuff as well. But that's if you're looking at it in an investment point of view, and I'm pretty deep into the game. So some people, you can go further. You're enjoying the game, you're enjoying the community, everything. Go further into it. Not financial advice for anyone else other than myself.
Financial advice for me, I'm taking it as financial advice. But I mean, this is the thing with all this stuff. It's like, look, you've got to figure this stuff out for yourself. You don't come to a YouTube channel with a guy who plays a video game and talks about it online to like look for your investment advice. But you should, hear my sincerity and maybe Jim's sincerity around what we see, and then to ask yourself, what are the fundamental considerations that either support that confidence that apparently Jim has in SPS, or apparently Dwayne has in, packs and cards and whatnot. And are they wrong? Is Jim wrong? Is Dwayne wrong? And it's like, that's a battle every one of us has to have. And if you're not asking yourself, if you're not challenging yourself in that way, either because like if you've got investments of some nature and they're not here, like I would be looking at whether that's a mistake. In the same way that when you have assets in here in this game, I am looking at whether I've had too much. Like you said, like you want to take a little out. I recently I sold my kitty last year to go to Splinterfest. I sold
real quick. I know you said kitty, but it sounded like kidney.
No body parts.
Your kidney.
No body parts, just NFT collectibles. Yeah, no. And then recently sold the old Lux Vega, my last one, for 11 something. And, that's helping pay for the renovations downstairs for my little girl's bathroom. And it's like, so there's two sides of it. Either you're taking this seriously and you should ask, am I too deep? Or you're not taking this seriously and you should ask, am I overlooking something here? And you can't get that answer from like Dwayne says or Jim says, but you can look at our confidence and test that confidence with the fundamental considerations that are around us. Like how many players are there? How secure is the SPS? What are the developers aiming at? How have they, honored or met those targets in the past, or have they failed to meet targets and aims in the past? And all of that then should leave you with a degree of confidence, and that should dictate, never what Jim says or Dwayne says. Robert has some feedback. He goes, if it makes me nervous that people like you and Jim are thinking about expanding beyond Splinterlands in this space, if enough of us start thinking that Splinterlands assets tank, I don't think that's true at all. I mean, the first thing is, um, this game used to thrive with 1,000 participants, and we have 40, 50, 60, 70,000 daily active accounts right now. And this is like in the depths of the bear market. And I'm convinced that in the next bull market, we're going to see, I don't know, I haven't actually put this thought out yet in my mind even, but I think we had 400,000 daily active accounts last bull market, 500,000 even. I bet we have a million next bull market. And I bet content creators like myself and Jim, if you want to like keep running the channel and keep doing, whether it's Splinterlands TV, I know you're stepping back, or but like your own stuff or whatever, got some of the accounts, some of the people that are doing stuff here now with like hundreds of viewers are going to have thousands. And some of us who have thousands are going to have tens of thousands, because in my view, this is the beginning of something revolutionary. And I think it is by no means, this isn't some sort of delicate baby that we have to prop up through, some sort of false, I don't know, exclusionism or something. Like, it doesn't have, like, I just don't see it. I don't see it that way at all. Jim, what do you think about that? It makes me nervous that people like you and Jim are thinking about expanding beyond Splinterlands. If enough people start thinking that Splinterlands assets tank, what do you think about that?
I think it's kind of a different thing, because it's not like we're selling a bunch of stuff to just get out of the game. It's a reallocation of funds. So it's like I'm still going to be sitting on a bunch of SPS.
Mm-hmm.
Dwayne's going to be sitting on a bunch of SPS. He might even have packs. Get rid of some stuff doesn't equate to getting rid of everything. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, sure, there can be some other people that also want to sell cards, but that's also how it goes,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, but it is, in a way, it is true, because if we're all putting these cards out onto the market, then the prices will go down, because now there's just more supply out there onto the market.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if the demand itself doesn't change.
Yeah.
So yes, he isn't wrong, but I also don't see it being, correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He isn't wrong in the sense that if players who love this game, who are dedicated to it, who have been part of the, let's say, rallying cry to what Splinterlands is, myself included, if we started coming out and being like, I'm selling all my cards and I'm liquidating so I can go play another title, that would be a problem. But here's the thing. First of all, that's not on the table. Like, even with Jim, what Jim's talking about is like, he wants more SPS. And I think we all agree that we SPS needs to, we want more buyers of SPS. And then you say, well, we don't want more sellers of cards. Well, in certain situations, like for the examples I gave, I sold one kitty and paid for a trip. I sold one Summoner Lux Vega and paid for a renovation. And you're not talking about millions of cards. You're not talking about even dozens of cards. You're talking about literally two. And then when I talk about what I did with Golem Overlord, which I'm enjoying, I think I put $120 into this game. And that's including the initial staff or whatever that I bought. And that's not taking away from my Splinterlands. And then we're talking about Splinter Forge. I'm talking about putting $50 in like later this week. So I think either maybe a misunderstanding or possibly an overreaction to this suggestion that like we are interested in looking at other things. And I really strongly believe if Splinterlands requires everyone to never sell, that isn't a reward for your time and attention. That isn't a game, that's a sink. So I really like, I strongly reject the suggestion that Jim, myself, or even a guy like One Day, Matt, or Aggroed should have the capacity to sell.
Mhm.
Let's hope that's not anytime soon. But you know what I mean? Like we can't start building these walls of our game is only safe as long as no one sells. There is no revolutionary element to this thing. There is no reward for your time and attention. That's what I talk about all the time. There's reward here for your time and attention. There, that isn't true if the expectation is never sell. And so I firmly disagree with that suggestion. Plus, it's not true that we're like, trying to leave or stop covering this or anything like that. It's like we want to have more fun in this space that we think is revolutionary. Elistios, selling cards right now makes no sense really, at least at the current market price. That's how people buy high, sell low, and wonder why they never make money investing. I'm with you, Elistios, for sure. Jim, but yeah, the one thing you have to always remember, because okay, so there's two sides to this coin. This is a fun conversation, and it speaks into your thoughts around you buying some SPS, Jim. So let's hear what you think about this. But here's something I try and tell people. Look, just because your asset, your card, let's say you bought $10,000 worth of Splinterlands cards, and you bought it, and now it's worth $5,000, and you've lost half your value. And you could say on one hand, I can hold these cards for the next year or so and watch them reappreciate, because I believe that will happen, and then maybe expand, like it'll be worth more during a bull market that I think is coming than it used to cost me, and definitely more than it is valued at today. So it was 10, it's now 5. I think it'll go to 20. That might be your thesis, your expectation. And on the one hand, that's a fair conclusion, and you could just make that bet and lie in it. That's what, just that's your expectation, that's what you bought, that's what you're willing to wait for, and just be patient and do what you're saying. That's kind of what I'm hearing from you, Elistios. But here's the thing, just because you bought at 10 and it's now worth 5 doesn't mean it is without merit to consider liquidating. You sometimes want to take an L on one match because it's going to give you a new opportunity through the liquidity that it then puts into your wallet to then open some new door. And at the same time as the cards have moved from, let's say, 10 to 5, and I don't know if that's entirely accurate. I think, yeah, maybe it is about accurate. I think my 100,000 account moved to about 50,000. So let's say you had 10,000, it moved to 5. Today you wanted to move it all into SPS. Well, SPS was $1.26, a year and a half ago or whatever it was, whenever it launched, and now it's 2 cents. And so there's actually, even in taking a loss on card assets, you can move into a different position that has fallen faster proportionally to what you're already in. And then it can be in that way, it can be a 2 steps forward with one step back. Jimmy, anything to add on that one?
Yeah, 100%. You have to look at when it was that you bought, right? Like, even if we say you bought $5,000 worth of cards back when SPS was about 13 cents.
Yeah.
Okay. And cards have, let's say, they dropped in half since then. Sure, it feels bad to sell your cards for now 2.2K, but it's not like you're putting it into the bank and, you're just going to blow this money. You're going to, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinvest it into SPS that, again, has gone even lower than 50% from where that moment was.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have so much more, room for growth at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Because now we look at it in terms of flat SPS, comparison to when it was the 13 cents, you're getting so much more than, when it goes back to that point. Let's say all your cards double again, but then SPS goes back to 13 cents. Were you better off selling your cards at that point, putting into SPS and climbing back to 13 cents, or doubling your card value back to its original state?
Mm-hmm.
So you're either 2x on your cards or 6x on SPS?
Yes. I think, though, it's a little more complicated because the cards allow a revenue generating opportunity, whether it's through land or play or tournaments or like we said earlier, Splinter Forge, because it's the same deck of cards. So there's differing. So there's a component that makes it a little more complicated, but
Yes.
but there's also a thing where SPS is far more liquid. And so if you want to sell, like, let's say we get to a place one day where SPS is $1 or $2 or something crazy, moving 100,000 units of SPS to liquidate is going to be quicker, easier, more taxably trackable, which is important when if you're getting like a major payday, you need to be able to justify that to your tax agency in your country. And if you can show them, look, I had X amount of SPS in my account and here's records of dating back a year plus, that ends up being, at least in Canada, a really clean transaction, whereas it becomes far more complicated when it's a non-fungible token like a card. So there's a more complicated conversation here for sure. And there's benefits to doing what Jim is talking about doing. And I also do see, I don't think the example is as clean as the cards could double or the SPS could 6x. I think the XPS could easily 10, 20 cents in my mind. Those are very attainable numbers, and that would be so transformative for you as with a plan that you're talking about. But then I also think the cards could do something far greater than double. I think as some of the other guys in the comments are saying, Ivan goes, we are still here very early. And later he also said something similar again. You know, if we have 50,000 daily active accounts right now, do we have 30,000 human people? I don't know. Is it 15,000? I don't know what it is, but I really think we could get to a place one day where we have 1 million. And the transformation that would imply to market cap, for SPS, yes, but for card acquisition, and some of these cards being amazing and overpowered, and even rental revenues, like it's unfathomable, literally. Like we can't imagine how big it could appreciate in my mind. And so, but I get the thing that you're doing, and I think it makes a lot of sense. But circle back, Elistios, where was it? Elistios is kind of siding with Robert a little bit, and he goes, if everyone sells at the same time, though, it's a bank run. And earlier Robert said, I'm good with that, Jim selling cards for SPS, but selling cards to buy into Golem Overlord hurts SPS or Splinterlands as an ecosystem. And Elistios agrees. But again, just focus for a moment on the if everyone sells at the same time, though, it's a bank run. This is true. You're totally right. There's only it's except that it's not a bank run in the sense of like when we do an actual bank run, you're going to, JP Morgan, you're saying I want my money, and there literally isn't enough money. And so in this context, it's not that way because this is a free market. So the cards you own are if they were all selling at the same time, you're right, the card would shoot down to the floor. And if there was no buyers, you're right, the value would, in that scenario, become zero because there's so many sellers and no buyers. But it's different because we're not going to Splinterlands and saying, hey, I have this voucher for money, and therefore you, Mr. Central Bank, owe me X $100 because it's a $100 note. It's more like these cards have a free market value, and whatever card you're looking at has a price point. And right now it's $2.86 for a Soul Fiend, and that price might go up and it might go down. And you're right, if too many sellers exist, then that's a problem for the prices to be stationary, let alone go up. But the complication is, and again, I guess it has to be said yet again, like, when one person says, I mean to do X, Y, and Z, in the same way that we talked previously about the vote, like Buddy's vote, Ali's vote, like we have to be able to vote using the SPS we've accumulated. That's part of the right of being an SPS holder. we have to be able to sell the NFTs that we collect through Splinterlands, either for that you've earned through time and attention or that you've bought. You have to be. If we start creating these arguments for, look, certain people are too big to sell and shouldn't sell, and it'll crash the market if you do sell because others will start to sell. First of all, that's actually, in my mind, that's just FUD, because you're not actually, that's not the reality of what's happening, first of all. And second, a person has to be allowed to sell. Like, these are your assets. I have a buddy who just sold his assets. He said enough is enough. And he moved within 5 days. He sold $5,000 worth of assets. I don't know, man. I can't defend. I can't see logic in. I can't see any silver lining to the suggestion that we need to be kind of careful or, hesitant about selling because we want to hold the game up. I mean, that makes Splinterlands sound really fragile. And Splinterlands not only survived this bear market, but they've survived other bear markets. And I would say we're thriving. Like these partnerships that we just talked about for 30 minutes, or, the amount of, we did just sell 15 million Chaos Legion packs. I know we had to kind of do some things to make that happen. And you might say it wouldn't happen if we didn't. Sure. But we moved 15 million Chaos Legion packs. And, I mean, I don't think the gloves, the baby gloves have to come on here. Like, I don't think we need to be so delicate with this thing. And I think we actually do the game and the community a disservice when we start pretending like this is really fragile and let's be careful. It's like, let's celebrate and gather around the revolutionary element of what this is. Remember, you earn for your time and attention. You receive reward, even though trivial on a daily basis. You receive that for an investment of time and attention. Let's recognize that is why this is interesting. If we start saying you can't earn because you can't sell because it'll hurt the economy, well, yes, it will drive prices down. But someone else said, and I think it might have been Elistios. So you're kind of playing both sides, I think, maybe. But Elistios said, like, well, when you said selling cards right now makes no sense. They're at a lower price. It's like buying high to sell low, and that's why we never make money. I think that point is almost the opposite side. It's like you shouldn't sell right now, but for the reason that it's at a low, as opposed to you shouldn't sell because it'll hurt the economy. I think one of those arguments makes a lot of sense, and the other one is quite weak, unfortunately. I think, if I was going to say you shouldn't sell, it'd be because of this reason, because these are lows. And I think everything you sell today, I think you're one day going to come to regret, even if, like Jim said earlier, he might be moving into something where he's going to have this awesome opportunity. I think he's probably right about that. But I do think one day you're going to say, man, I wish I had X, Y, and Z cards, and I can't anymore because they're now too expensive.
Yeah, I definitely see that. But I don't think I'm going to be upset when I have 1 million SPS and it goes to $1, Dwayne. I don't think I'm going to be that mad.
That's I can see that. And you'll probably buy some of them back. Like you'll get to a place where you're like, yeah, okay, I do want that. But there might also come a time, even now, like let's see, where is she? Kitty. This card is so awesome and I love it and it has a special place in my heart. I'm probably never buying this thing back again. Even though the price that I sold it for is roughly the same price that it's selling for now. I think I just am never, I'm going to always say, even if I have $1 million from Splinterlands, I'm probably going to say, you know what? I'm not going to spend $5,000 on a card. Like, I'm just not. And there's a different player maybe that wants that collectible and wants to fill out the collection. Love it. I think for me, I'm probably going to say, I think I'm never going to own another kitty. And I kind of like, I'm disappointed about that because there's a collector in me, but I often tell that collector to shut up because like you're not in the driver's seat. I got to pay bills. I got to like, you know what I mean? There's multiple sides of it. This is cool. I like this, Elistios. Everyone is emotional right now and selling out of panic and grief. But in less than a month, people will clean the market of cards to put on lands, and then the price will surge again, and you'll lose. I think this is probably true, and I like this. This is like a bull argument. It's like, don't screw around and sell your cards because you'll regret it, as opposed to, which sounds like the other side of it. The other side of that coin is like, don't sell it because the economy can't handle it. And that, if that's true, we should be scared about being here. If the other side of this is true, you know what I mean? Like, if we can't sell because it might spook the economy, that is actually terrifying. So I don't believe that. I do believe what Elistios is saying here. People do want to sell because they're scared right now. The price of SPS is lower, or cards have been dipping, and they're like, oh, is it going to go lower? Is it going to go lower? And not me. I'm like acquiring more and more. Like I said, I've been stacking SPS. I went from recently from 100 to 107 just through play, but I'm not selling that. And the small sells I have made, I literally 2 cards in the last 3 years of any note, and then $50 into Splinterforge is not going to move the needle on Splinterlands, or $100 into Golem Overlord is not going to move the needle. Plus, I think these games are kind of fun, and I'm enjoying them, and I think they have an opportunity in and of themselves to have an outsized return. So then it gets into a conversation of, well, if it's not going to hurt me in my journey in Splinterlands, and it's going to give me this open door for something that could be really special in the future, that's where I start getting excited. And things like Golem Overlord or Splinterforge, people aren't taking seriously. Like, most people aren't taking Splinterlands seriously. And I would argue that Golem Overlord and Splinterforge and probably Dino Chibi and, Tower Defense, when that properly launches, I think they're all going to be inadequately respected. There's going to be a lack of community. There's going to be a lack of money being circulated in it. And that's where those crazy outsized opportunities come from, for just that time, that investment of time and attention. Because you're going to get those daily rewards that are trivial in nature from those games too. And you already are with Forgium when you play Splinterforge, or Part when you're playing Golem Overlord. And people think, oh, the price is falling and it's going down, it's going to die. It's like, okay, if you think so, I'm quietly going to play it in the background. And in 4 years, I bet I'm going to be very happy that I did. And that's the story that I experienced with Splinterlands. And I'm saying I'm willing to put a $100 bet on it. Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, Splinterlands is my game. I've got $60,000 worth of assets in this thing, no more. I've got, land. I got 23 plots of land. I got 3 validator nodes. I got 700 Chaos Legion packs. I got $55,000 worth of cards. I'm in here and I'm not going anywhere, but there's more fun to be had. Let's recognize the revolution in front of us, and let's not live in a mindset of scarcity and anxiety or doubt. Let's recognize what we have in front of us, and let's be excited about that, and come at it from a posture of, like Elistios just said in that last comment, like, you're going to regret it. I love that, dude. That's good stuff.
One thing to remember about that, right?
Yeah.
Cards go up in value.
Yeah.
SPS is going to go up in value because people will see that their card went up a lot.
Yeah.
And then if they go buy SPS when it's still at the 2.2 cents mark, but like more people are going to see that happening, now they're just going to start buying more SPS.
Uh-huh.
It's like when one thing goes up, everything else also goes up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not like, I wouldn't be really worried about selling my stuff right now and getting SPS.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't be worried about it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And I think Steve agrees with you a little bit. He's like, the other reason for Jim's play is if we are right on an SPS is $1 or $3, will that change your life? If no, you don't have enough for that life-changing play. That's kind of an exciting, I love that line of thinking. Let's really understand what this is. And again, like I always say, if I'm wrong about this game being fun or having a future, if I think I'm off about my confidence, my reasons for being bullish here, okay, show me that, because I actually want to see that red flag as I talk. And I know Oskew's in the chat, and he's one of my guys who's like, he's got that little bit of bearish element. And others too, like you've seen me respond to them. It's great. Let's listen to these guys and let's see if we think that they see something. But man, I'm confident. I'm confident for a million reasons. Like Elistios said, man, June 15th, middle of June, land 1.5. What's going to happen there? You know, I do think Steve's probably right. And Gathering the Magic too. There isn't going to be as many cards as we want to go into land that will go into land, because the DEC requirements are going to hamper some of that. But man, there's going to be a good amount of cards that disappear like overnight. And that's going to help our prices on cards. Plus the DEC going into land being staked, not burnt, is going to be a lockup mechanism, which is going to affect the SPS return. Okay. I don't know if it's going to return to peg, but it almost certainly will move toward peg. And that is a positive again, because if we can get there, we're going to get that flywheel happening. So it's just, that's two things, but there's just so many things to be positive about. And so, yeah, Jim, it's been 2 hours, buddy. You want to say anything before we go?
You know, there comes a point in every person's life where you have to reconsider what is going on in your life and find out what it is that you want. Oh, all right. I guess he's just going to learn how to reconsider his life. All right.
I'm going to put up an appropriate visual for everyone to.
And, you know, you can have advice from people around you, but in the end, you have to listen to your gut and what you think is going to be best for you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Amen.
And if there's one thing I've learned, I have to listen to my gut more.
Jim, no, thanks, man. Absolutely. I'm with you, and I appreciate you sharing that with the guys. And also, I'm excited to see, like, one of these days, I think those numbers are going to happen. And, oh man, it'll be like I said, May 22nd is Bitcoin Pizza Day. There's going to come a day where guys like Jim, where guys like me, where Steve, or some of you guys out there, like, you have a bag of SPS and you're going to sell it for 30, 40 cents. You're going to be like, holy cow, this is crazy. And then, 10 years later, 20 years later, when you're going to be watching, like, oh, Splinterlands, like, how's that doing? And I'm so confident that this thing is going to be crushing it still. And the SPS is going to be these ludicrous numbers. And 10,000 Bitcoin for a couple pizzas, guys. That's what happened. Like, I literally wrote this in my calendar. So every year I get a reminder of this fact. And I do it because I want to see this. I want to remember that somebody was like, oh, I'll trade $250 million for 2 pizzas. And I want that to, like, be a thought that I really wrestle with, because he had no idea that was possible. And do we walk in the same sort of like doubt about what we are participating in right now? I think we do. I think blockchain based video games are literally a revolution for video games. It's a revolution for how we are rewarded for our time and attention. If you agree, and if you're still watching and you haven't already, please drop a like and subscribe, because you're going to want to be here while I cover it all the way to those sort of crazy moonshots. Because, man, I think we're going there. But it's not days, weeks, or months away. It's years. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's trivial rewards that are happening every day as long as you're investing the time and attention. So thanks for hanging out today, guys. Jim, thanks for coming to hang out. I appreciate you, pal.
Thanks for having me, man. It was great, and I can't wait to see everyone again.
Mm-hmm. Okay, guys, bye for now.